This is Afro X, and you're watching YouTube. Here comes the good part.
My name is Afro X, no I just want the checks. My name is Afro X, no I don't need a hex. You should forget your ex and just watch Afro X. My name is Afro X, my name is Afro X, my name is Afro X.
Hi everybody, and thanks for tuning into the Afro X channel. We're here to continue our series today called Anime Origins. And just before we start, I do want to point out that if you're hearing better audio, it's probably because I just got this Blue Yeti microphone. It's the Blackout Edition, and this thing is better than hearing your own voice. Anyway, enough with the shameless ad for Blue Yeti, but they're great. And now on to Anime Origins. Today we will be getting into the origins of the Rinnegan Eye, one of the most powerful powers in all of the Naruto fandom. Universe, I'm sorry. Alright, so I'm going to break this down into about 3 different sections. I'm going to have a little bit of a setup for you, kind of the meat and potatoes, the main part of what we're looking at, and then I'm going to wrap it all up for you in a nice bow at the end. Alright, so the Rinnegan. The Rinnegan is a power in Naruto that was used by the Sage of the Six Paths, Nagato, and a few others, such as Obito, Madara, and Sasuke. Now, today we're mostly going to be focusing on the Sage of the Six Paths and Nagato, but Nagato specifically. The definition or meaning of Rinnegan is kind of split into 2 thanks to the Japanese language. Rinne means rebirth, and it is actually the Japanese translation of the word Samsara, which in Buddhist cultures is the wheel of life, death, and rebirth. And Gan, of course, if you've done any studying in Japanese related to Naruto at all, you will find that Gan is the general word for eye in Japanese. So what we have is Rinnegan literally translates to rebirth eye. Now, what we're going to be mostly talking about today is the Wheel of Samsara itself. The Wheel of Samsara is pretty much what the Buddhists believe to be kind of the 6 realms of being. There are the God realm, the demon realm, the human realm, the animal realm, the hungry ghost realm, and the hell realm. And all of these are in one big cycle, and once you die, you are put into the cycle, and until your bad karma runs out, you pretty much have to go through all these cycles. Now, Samsara is considered to be what is called dukkha, or unsatisfactory and painful, and it's perpetuated by desire and avidya, or ignorance, and that is where you build up your bad karma in this life, the resulting karma from that. And being in the Wheel of Samsara, the cycle, is ended by reaching nirvana, which is the ultimate state of enlightenment for Buddhists, and that is the blowing out of desires and the gaining of true insight into impermanence and non-self reality. And we'll get into more of how this connects to everything in the Naruto universe in just a little bit. Now that we've got that down, let's get to the main points. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to break this down into the 6 realms and also how they relate to the 6 paths of pain that Nagato released upon the Hidden Leaf Village. So, the Paths of Pain / the Realms of Rebirth, pretty much, these are where you get the inspiration for the different 6 Paths of Pain. There is the God Paths, which are the are called the Devas, and that's where you get the Deva path in Naruto. And this is pretty much heaven, the closest thing to heaven for a Buddhist. They're the gods, but their pride and arrogance in being gods leads to attachment, and they're very big on accumulating karma and things like that. And Indra and Brahman or Brahma reside here, and as you can see in the Naruto world, the Deva path is always referring to himself as a god, and believes he is the greatest. Of course, Nagato speaking through the Deva path. But and his powers also reflect repulsion, but more specifically accumulation of things, and the ability to bring giant balls of matter together, and also to gravity powers to push or pull things in the universe. Moving on, we go to the demon or the Ashura path. And this realm is filled with a lot of anger, and all of the beings here are supernatural powered, and they usually tend to fight with the Devas, this in the Naruto universe, the Ashura path, is the weapons path. This is the one that can have 2 faces, 6 arms, and can turn their gives the user the ability to turn their limbs into mechanical things or weapons or anything like that. And yes, they were called the warring demons in the Buddhist culture. Moving on, we have the human path. This is also called the Mariusa path, but it isn't given that name in the Naruto universe. And in the human or Mariusa path, once you are reborn into this path, you will have very different physical and moral endowments. They say this is a very good path because the whole point of the Wheel of Samsara is to achieve rebirth, and and any of the paths that let you achieve rebirth are seen to be good paths to be put into once you die. Or, well, yes, once you die or once you are reborn. So the human path is seen as good because it gives you an ability to reason, and it is it's a path where you are able to have a lot of different teachers, and I will say that's a lot where Jiraiya comes in on this, and it's the path where you're most likely to be reborn. And in the Naruto universe, on the flip side of this, this is the one. This is the path that can read thoughts and steal souls, and a number of other things like that. Now, moving on to the animal path. The animal path is the what Buddhists believe is the state of being for an animal, and this path is a very hellish realm because animals are seen to be very in conflict with each other and survival of the fittest and things like that, just driven by their impulses. And this is also the realm for kind of things that have a mind but don't quite know what is happening to them, and that's why this is also considered the plant realm, for plants that are living. And kind of the impulses is what was the influence for the animal path being able to do so many summons, and not just, and summons of many different kinds of animals. The animal path was designed in the 6 paths to be kind of an overwhelming factor for the enemy, so that they would feel like there was no way they could fight who they were up against. Next up, we move on to the Hungry Ghost / the Preta Path, and in the Buddhist religion, the Pretas are invisible, and they have no body, and they're described as small mouths and large stomachs, and it's kind of conflicting because they're seen as large mouths or small mouths with large stomachs, yet since they are always starving in this realm, it's one of great suffering, and usually they can be seen as like thin or pale, and that is kind of an homage to Nagato looking thin and pale, as the energy was kind of drained out of him. Yes, in this realm there's very intense suffering, and you are reborn after your bad karma demerit runs out. I wasn't sure because I couldn't specifically link it to this character, but I'm pretty sure if you've seen the movie Spirited Away, that No Face could be considered a hungry ghost, since it doesn't really have a body shape, it has a small mouth, and pretty much just eats everything and absorbs its personality. Alright, moving on to the very last path. This is the Hell or the Naraka path. And Naraka is actually Sanskrit for hell. And Sanskrit is a very big thing in these. Most of the names for the paths are taken from the Sanskrit translations for these words. And the Hell or Naraka path is just a place of horrible suffering. Extreme hot, extreme cold, and there's just people being beaten. There is one hell for being eaten alive, and this also relates to in Naruto, where the Hell path or the Naraka path is able to summon the King of Hell to interrogate its victims in kind of a torturous way, to be absolutely honest. And the King of Hell in the Buddhist faith is called King Yama, or is called Yama, and that also relates to Dragon Ball Z, whereas or actually Dragon Ball, to be specific, whereas the King of Hell there was King Yama, and that is where that kind of comes from. And also, I could kind of see it, I wasn't able to directly link it, but I could also kind of see it being the influence for the 6 levels of Impel Down in the One Piece series. And also, the Hell or Naraka path is a temporary plane of existence, and you can be released from there by the torture you're receiving, slowly draining your bad karma that you got in life. But it's probably very hard to do this, seeing as the karma that got you to the hell path in the first place was very, very evil karma, and you get there for things like jealousy, treason, adultery, things like that. Alright, there we are. We've gotten through the 6 paths and the 6 realms of Samsara. And now I'm just going to do a bit of a back and forth, just so we can compare the Naruto universe to the real Buddhist influences. So I just want to state right here, I firmly believe, no matter what anyone says, that the only true sage of the 6 paths were the original sage of the 6 paths, Hagoromo Utsutsuki, and Nagato, who's a descendant of the Uzumaki. Because Nagato was kind of born with the Rinnegan, and all the other people who got the Rinnegan, Obito, Madara, stuff like that, Madara developed it through the technique after he died, and then Obito stole Nagato's eye. Sasuke got it from getting power directly from the Sage of the Six Paths, but it was only partial. Naruto also being that. So, I mean, you could kind of say that Naruto and Sasuke in tandem were the third Sage of the Six Paths, but not fully. And that's why just now I'm going to focus right here on Hagoromo Utsutsuki and Nagato, but Nagato specifically. Now, Konan, I just want to get out of the way. I know a lot of people are going to be asking about Konan in the comments, and I want to say Konan doesn't really have an application to the Wheel of Samsara, but she's known as a Shikigami, and that is a paper spirit, and in Japanese tradition, they will hang up paper ghosts to appease the Shikigami, and have them give them good luck. Now, as for the kind of direct influence and such, I'd like to say that Hagoromo Utsutsuki and Nagato kind of represent the whole Wheel of Samsara, having the Rinnegan naturally and stuff. And in Samsara, as it was said, it's unsatisfactory and painful to go through the realms, and that directly correlates to Nagato's whole idea of pain and the world needing to experience pain, and how pain is a kind of cycle. And it's achieved by desire and ignorance, and that was kind of directly related to Nagato's desire for peace and the ignorance to realize what Jiraiya's teachings really meant. And the part of Samsara where some people can't achieve rebirth is kind of Nagato's, the same idea, the same thing of love and war all being a cycle and that it never really ends. And then Nagato is kind of released. He's put at peace. He gets to die when he finally decides to become part of a greater good. He does the Rin rebirth and resurrects everybody and that died from pain. And that was kind of his insight into the impermanence and the non-self reality. Kind of, I am not the one who's supposed to save this world, but I am part of the process to save this world. And also, as I'm guessing you probably noticed, there is the whole thing of the god and the demon realm, and in the god realm Indra resides, and in the demon realm it's called Ashura in Sanskrit, and those two are always fighting, just as in the Naruto universe, the two sons of Hagoromo Utsutsuki, representing the wheel of life, death, and rebirth, the two sons Indra and Ashura are always fighting in that throughout time. And I think a really big thing, just to wrap this up, I think a really big thing about Naruto is a whole thing of just rebirth and like in each iteration, in each life, just realizing like that you may not be the hero of the story, that you may be part of a greater good, of something that is eventually going to save the world, and things like that. And I think that's a good lesson for all of us to learn. So, anyways, next time on Anime Origins, I will give you an update on what's happening on next time on Anime Origins, but that will not be until maybe the second week of March, or something like that. I'm going to try to do one per month here. Anyways, that's all I have for you today. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe down below, and you know what? Comment on what your favorite path in the 6 paths of pain is. And one person will be chosen from among all of the commenters, and their comment will be featured in the next Afro X video. So get up on that really fast. Anyways, keep YouTubing, YouTubers. Don't fight the fro, and always remember to stay legendary. I'll see you later, YouTube. Bye-bye.
Prepare for death.